Since we had so many problems with that lowered suspension, we went ahead and lifted the truck. We lifted it all right onto these jack stands. That's how you do clickbait, people. And for those of you who are concerned, those are indeed the recalled Harbor Freight 6-ton jack stands. What the devil's going on in here? What a mess. There's crap everywhere. Good Lord. Now I'm sure it's not escaped anybody's attention that I have not actually done anything to this truck meaningful in quite a while, and I was also missing for about 3 weeks during the holidays. Well, there's a couple reasons for that. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with this truck, which is why I wasn't working on this truck. And let me explain that. So the goal from this channel, for this channel from the very beginning, has always been to help grow the automotive community. My whole career has been focused on that because I figure if I help people be successful with their builds, then they're more likely to finish their build, build another build after that, or at least show up out in the community at the car shows and the meets and stuff and hang out and participate. So the more of us are into cars, the cheaper parts become, the more readily available parts become, the easier it is to find the resources we need to build our cars. So it benefits everyone to bring more and more people into this. So that's the goal of the channel, is to be inclusive at dragging everybody possible into the automotive community and helping them be successful with their builds. Okay. Now, my personal goal has always been to build a car myself from beginning to end. A car I can be proud of, full custom or whatever, for a pro streeter or whatever the case may be. That's been my goal for my entire life. So here I am, I'm 54 years old, just turned 54 this last November, and I still haven't done it. I still haven't built any of the cars on my list, and I still haven't built a car from beginning to end by myself. Since I'm 54, times are running out is what I'm trying to say. I've been wondering, should I build this S10? And the reason is, it's not one of the bucket list cars. And that's not because they're not cool, it's not because I don't like this truck, it's not because I'm not having fun working on this truck, it's because there are 10 other cars that I have some big pictures of in my head, and it's a very specific way I want to do them, and each one represents a different challenge as far as my skill set goes to complete. So those cars offer something for me that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Alright, so I was thinking, do I sell the truck and go buy one of my bucket list cars and start working on that? Well, the problem with that is most of the vehicles on my bucket list, it could take me 6 months to find one. So that's one downside. The second downside is if it's one of my bucket list cars, I have a very specific vision of what I want it to be, and that means I have to come up with the cash and the parts, because some of the parts I'm going to put on some of these cars aren't readily available anymore. One of my bucket list cars, its timing isn't quite right for that. This is the truck that pretty much launched the channel. Even though I did some D21 stuff before that, this is the only truck I've been showing you as we go, right? Building it as we go. Alright, so in the interest of how much everybody has already got invested in this truck, time-wise and everything else, let's keep going on this truck, but let's focus on keeping it budget. I'm not going to go out and spend a bunch of money on airbags, things like that, because not all of you guys can do that either, and that's kind of the point of the channel, right? Giving you guys options, showing you how I might find workarounds. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a workaround on this truck. We're not going to buy fancy suspension components. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with what's already here. I am going to cut and move and weld and modify. Okay, so there's a couple of things we need to address to get this truck a lot lower and riding properly. The main thing is how much this frame hangs underneath the truck. That is almost 3 full inches below the rocker panel, which means if I was to put this 5 inches off the ground, that rocker panel would only be 2 inches off the ground, and I can't drive it around like that. So what we need to do is we need to get that frame tucked up under the truck a little better so that the truck can look lower and still have decent ground clearance. So generally, to accomplish that, a lot of people do what's called a body drop, or they channel the body. In the old days, when the cars were huge inside, they channeled them a lot. And channeling is where you take the frame, where it comes up under the body, and you cut a slot out of here and you bring the frame up through the floor of the vehicle. and then you would just box it back in with some sheet metal or something to cover up the hole. But then you got a lump going through here, and that's what a lot of guys do on old school cars. You'll see that body channeling done a lot. So option number 1 is channeling. Option number 2 is a full body drop. Now what a body drop does is you basically cut the floor here and raise the whole floor of the truck up 2 inches, because the body mounts, as we can see under here, let me flip that around. You know, here's our body mount. The body mount bolts to the floor of the truck. So what you do is you cut it out here beyond the body mount so that the body mount stays where it's at. The floor doesn't move, but this whole body drops down past the floor 2 inches. So once you've lowered your body 2 inches, then you fill all the gaps with metal, weld it all back together. All right, so there are a couple things about doing a body drop. What will happen is this floor here is going to come up 2 inches if I do a 2-inch drop. And as you can see, the door panel now is shaped in a way that it lines up right in this area. If you look over that side, you can see the bottom of the door panel because it's shaped to fit perfectly in that opening. Well, if I raise this floor 2 inches, now it's going to be up here, depending on where I do it, whether I do it over here, or if I curve up to it or whatever. When I close this door, this mat pocket, for instance, that hangs out into the truck, is probably going to come close to touching the carpet right here. And you're not going to see the bottom of the door except this gap over here. And it's going to look a little awkward. Also, like I said, or I didn't say because I'm refilming, your seating position changes. So the seat will come up 2 inches because the floor is coming up 2 inches. But the dashboard and all that stuff is staying where it is. So what happens is you lose 2 inches of headroom, which you can regain by taking 2 inches out of your seat mount and dropping that back down lower. But the problem is your pedals are going to stay right where they're at, but the floor is going to come up higher. So your relationship to where your feet go on the pedals is going to change, and you're probably going to be sitting a little closer to the steering wheel this way, you know, up. Unless, like I said, you drop your seat. Also, that's a butt ton of welding to cut that whole floor out all the way around the truck and then weld it back in. And with both situations, a factory carpet won't go back in like it's supposed to, because this is molded. You know, all these bumps and ridges and waves and stuff, that's all pushed into that's all made into the carpet so that it sits in there nice and snug. So if you guys want to know what a body drop is in detail, you want to see what it looks like in execution in reality, since I'm not going to do it on this truck, go on over to Wrong Way Garage. I'll put a link up here somewhere if I can figure out how to do it. If not, it'll be in the description. He did a body drop on an S10. Go check out what he did and how he did that. It's cool. That's what most people do in order to get their rocker panels closer to the ground and eliminate that frame hanging underneath the problem. But you know, I've got my reasons for not wanting to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to take 2 inches out of the bottom of that frame. All right, bear with me. I know a lot of you are going to be like, oh, you can't do that. The truck's going to flex and bend. Yeah, I know. I'm worried about flexing and bending because you don't want the body hitting the bed. If the frame flexes, you know, goes broop when you put weight on it, or goes through a bump and starts doing this stuff, these actually move closer and farther apart as it does it, which is why there's such a big gap in here now. But this gap is huge, and it's probably because they expected this to be used as a truck, which it was for a lot of its life. So you'll notice on some trucks that were abused and overused, you'll have a dent here from the bed hitting it. I basically want to have the bottom of the frame 4 inches off the ground at right height. So if I bring that up 2 more inches, that'll help a lot in getting this body lower. All right, so if you look down here, that's a better angle. So here's my frame. It comes under the bed, and then it comes up, and then it kicks forward where it holds on to all the suspension components, and the engine mounts right there behind them. And then it continues on up to the front where it becomes a place to bolt the bumper on. So Z-ing a frame is where you take the frame, you cut it here, and you raise it up. So I would raise this, I would cut this here on both sides, lift this whole front subframe up, and re-weld it in 2 inches higher so that the body, the fenders, are 2 inches lower on the wheel itself. So at a stock ride height, I'm going to do a 2-inch body drop. That would make the truck look like it was 2 inches lower, but all my suspension geometry and everything would remain stock. So I have a 2-inch spindle on the truck, so by doing a 2-inch drop on the body, that'll give me the equivalent of a 4-inch drop. That'll be the look I have. I'll have a 4-inch drop with a stock spring. So yeah, first things first, we're going to go ahead and cut off the front of this frame and move it and tack it back in place, and then we'll move to the center of the frame and see if we can gain some more ground clearance without ruining the structural rigidity. So let's get to it. Let's get to taking this thing apart. Alright, now I can't let go of it because it wants to fall. Ah, see? Okay. Speaking of carried away, let's see if we can carry this fender away now. Yeah! Now we're talking. There she is in all her glory. I believe we're at the point where I got to start draining fluids and get ready to start disconnecting hoses. Yeah, let's see how much of a mess this makes. It's out. I gotta hold it here while it's pissing ice cold water all over my fingers because the drain hole is apparently plugged up. Woo, that's cold. Alright, so while that's draining, let's get this transmission cooler unhooked because I gotta be able to pass these lines through the radiator support. I put this on there when I redid the transmission because there was so much debris in the fluid on the old transmission that I knew I couldn't reuse the cooler that's built into the radiator. So hopefully this is drained since it's facing the direction it is. Maybe I should just take this whole stupid thing off and turn it upside down to be safe. Well, I don't know. Let's see if we make a mess. Okay, here we go. Okay, good, good. Is some fluid in there in the hose. Okay, that stays in there. It's a pretty sturdy mount because I am reefing on it. Alright, I'm going to stick a couple vacuum caps on here just to keep any dirt from getting into these things or any more of that fluid dripping out. Alright. Alright, boys and goyles, now we just got to get the wiring harness off this thing. Alright, there's the headlight plug. Oh, okay, I see. So I stick in here, they go under here, and then you pry it that way. Oops. Okay. All right. Yeah, see. Okay. All right. Another headlight plug here. And I think just the horn is all we have left. Oh no, there's the chassis ground. Harness is out, tools are all cleaned off. All right, so here's where we're at so far. We got most of the front end apart, sheet metal wise. I got 2 more bolts here to get this radiator support off. But it's supposed to start snowing and the temperature supposed to start dropping rapidly. So I'm probably going to go in the house and stay there. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We're going to keep going. Things are starting to get interesting. Once you start taking the car apart, things start getting interesting. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks a bunch for watching. See ya.